What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PickSix podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. I'm assuming that it is Monday in June. I don't know what day it is. The 28th, Monday, June 28th. And it's a, you know what kind of Monday it is, guys? It's a
Manic? Yeah, me and Breech got it. Manic Monday.
Jinx.
How are we this far into this stupid podcast? And
We wanted to make a Bengals joke, dummy. Manic Monday.
Yes, I get it. It's a Bengals joke, actually.
That's what I said, yeah.
Not a Bengals, a Bengals.
I like them both. It doesn't matter.
Walk
like an Egyptian.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, Brian Wilson, John Breech. Speaking of, it's a Mailbag Monday. That's what kind of day it is.
Oh,
Mailbag.
Thank you. That's what you were supposed to say, not Manic Monday. But the first mailbag question comes from Paul C.
By the way, first off, happy birthday to me and to you.
Oh, yeah. Happy belated. Yeah. Had a birthday podcast go up actually on Saturday. Poor Sully, Tyler Sullivan was on. We were ranking. He had to rank offensive linemen and safety. So we did one of those for Monday or Saturday.
Brinson's taking birthday shots.
No, so he had to like sit through like a 3-minute thing where I wish myself happy birthday. After
Just 3
talking
minutes,
about my 40th.
I'm surprised you didn't go 40 minutes.
40 doesn't feel any different right now, guys. I got to tell you. That's because I'm not actually 40.
Wait till you're Wilson's age.
Ooh.
Also, do you know who the number 2 ranked safety for Tyler Sullivan was?
Troy Polamalu.
Nope.
Tyron
Jesse
Matthew.
Oh.
In fact, Sully had a difficult time saying Tyron Matthew. He almost mispronounced it. That's what's happened to me too. Is like I've started to almost mispronounce it because I hear
He's been brainwashed.
so much.
I know.
Yeah,
Say Honey Badger. Who was number 1?
Justin Simmons,
Where was Minka?
number 3.
All
right, before we
so
go
Prisco didn't
on-
have any say on this list.
Ask Breech the Rick Astley question before we go.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be the first
What a
mailbag
Rick roll
question.
is.
Yeah, I know what a Rickroll is. How would I not know what a Rickroll is? Are you going to
Ryan
Rickroll
didn't
me?
know what a Rick roll was. I don't know how. It's like the first thing that ever happened on the internet.
Ryan, have you been
were on the internet.
alive
You were cool then.
at any point over the past 15 years?
As I told Brinson and Debo before you came on, I only watch Rick Astley videos, so you can't Rickroll a Rickroll.
Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down.
We got Rick Astley.
I just
and the
Rickrolled
Bengals.
you right now.
We got-
Grew
I'm
out
gonna start
from a similar bait and switch trick called duck rolling that was popular on the 4chan website in 2006, 2007, and then 2008 when YouTube used it on its 2008 April Fool's Day event. So that's really when it sort of jumped the shark. But
Okay, well, let me say that I can understand why duck rolling didn't catch on, but Rick rolling, that's taking the internet to a new stratosphere. That's when I knew the internet was going to succeed, was when Rick rolling caught on. Before
right,
then, I was a little iffy.
I missed out on that.
2008, you weren't really sure if the internet was going to work, right? I was pretty sure when I was making my living on the internet. By the way, the reason we brought this up is that my son, Robbie, walked into the house on Thursday and was like, he runs up to me and goes, "Never gonna give you up." And I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You just got rickrolled." I was like, "That's not what are you talking about?" He and my wife both apparently think that a rickroll is when you run up to someone and yell Rick Astley lyrics in their face.
There you go. See, AK is also. So I'm searching.
That's an RLR squared. That's a real life Rickroll.
I just put Rick rolling into Google, and here's what comes up. What the heck is Rick roll?
That's
what
written by
happens if
Wilson.
what happens if you get Rick rolled, which is also pretty funny. And how do you Rick roll yourself? Those are 3 things I'm going to answer after we get off this podcast.
I feel like the maybe the ultimate, all right, this is going too far besides the YouTube thing, was when I believe the Mets, I think it was the Mets, rickrolled an entire stadium right before a baseball game.
I don't know how you do that.
Have you ever been to a sports event before?
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how they have that giant TV where they do the replays and stuff?
The Jumbotron, if you will.
Oh, yes. No, my point is that the baseball team's still coming out to play the baseball game. I mean, you can Rick roll someone.
No. They were like, and now a message from Mike Piazza. And he's like, "Hey, everybody, it's Mike Piazza." And it was like, "Never gonna give you up."
Okay, that's good. I got you.
Can you imagine starting your week with this?
I would have walked out of the stadium if that happened to be at a Mets game. I'm not letting a baseball team Rickroll me. Are you kidding me?
Might have been the highlight of the Mets game.
You can't.
First ever Mets dunk on the PickSix podcast.
That's the problem with the mailbag. Now, it's good for Monday because we do it before the weekend, but we're heading into the weekend vibe on the mailbag.
I will also say that 3 minutes in this podcast, Brinson goes, let's get to question one. And then we got sidetracked. So we got sidetracked after getting to the question without actually getting to the question.
So would you say that we got rickrolled?
Kind of.
And actually, that first question was a fake one. I don't know. What was I going to ask? What was I going to ask about?
I don't know. Usually it's Eric from Philadelphia has a question.
Yeah, it was Paul C for Paul Casey, who was on the Travelers Championship on Thursday. There's the golf check. Got the golf chat done. Okay, moving along. Let's actually get to the questions because we got a lot of them. This is from Elias the Bozo via Apple Podcast. If you want to ask a question about life,
liberty, or the pursuit of happiness,
right? Maybe you have a question about American history. Breech is great about American history. Maybe you have a question about. I don't know. It's just
I was the captain of the history bowl team in 8th grade that won the state title. I'm tired of telling you this.
You never told us that, but that's the least surprising.
I will.
Brian, when you were in 8th grade, the textbooks weren't accurate. What was that? 1840. Half of American history hadn't even happened.
All right, we'll see.
We'll see. Anyway, if you have a question about American history you want to ask Wilson about, if you have a question about kickers or diapers that you want to ask Breech about,
or state capitals, I'm a state capital expert.
What is the state capital of
Kentucky? He doesn't know. Look at that.
I do know. It's Harrisburg.
My God, it's Frankfurt, you moron.
Frankfurt. That's what Harrisburg is Pennsylvania. I got Frankfurt and Harrisburg.
This guy's a genius.
Harrisburg is Pennsylvania. Kentucky and Pennsylvania are both Commonwealth, so they're in the same part of my brain.
Oh my God.
No. You can't say I'm a state capital expert, then mix up Kentucky and Pennsylvania and be like, oh, sorry.
I live in a state connected to Kentucky. That's the embarrassing part.
That is the embarrassing part. Yes. All right, let's go. Please. People are, they're riding
don't
the train.
ask about state capitals anymore.
What is the state capital of North Carolina?
Raleigh. You live there.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Yes.
What is the state capital of Maine?
That's a tough one too.
What does it start with? Augusta.
Yeah. State capital of.
I can't believe this is happening.
Missouri.
He doesn't know anything.
Jefferson City.
Oh, that is actually right.
Oh, that's a good one.
What is the state capital of New Hampshire?
Concord.
Oh, all right. Okay, this is
boom.
You finally got that one.
Had to warm up a little bit there, but I got it now.
Chance that Breech has a Wikipedia page of state capitals up on his. I
answer those quickly.
Let's see your computer. Don't touch anything. Sure looks like a Wikipedia page for state. Breech, you left Pornhub open.
He's writing the story.
If you want to see
that is actually the rundown there. If anybody wants to see what our rundown looks like.
If you want to see things, if you want to see what just happened on this podcast for the last 2 minutes, you can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/PickSix. And if you're already watching on YouTube, bang that like button because it helps us out. Feel free to tell us what your favorite state capital is in the comments. Anywho, from Elias the Bozo, Danny Dimes or Danny Broke? Great podcast. It should be Danny Dimes or Danny Dimebag, maybe. Great podcast. I listen to it every day. I was wondering what your opinion is on the Giants. If you think Daniel Jones will be good. Also, tell Debo the Eagles are going to go 0-17 next season. I love a good mailbag dunk.
I'll ask because I know you don't have it in front of you. What are the division odds, William Hill?
I don't have them in front of me. But
are the Eagles? Do you feel like the Eagles are last?
The Eagles are the biggest long shot.
That's true. We're not just being trolls.
Right?
It's because I feel like the Cowboys and I think the Giants are right in there. I think there's a chance that the Giants could be. It's gonna be close.
So the Cowboys are +105 at William Hill. Devo's got it up on the old YouTube page as well. Washington +275. We told you to bet them at 500, 5-1 or 4-1 or something like that, or +450. The Giants +450 and the Eagles are 5-1. We had Cody Benjamin on last week, and he and Debo were naturally staining my ear about the Eagles or staining somebody's ear about the Eagles. I showed up like 5 minutes late to let them stain ear, and they seem to think that the Eagles might have a chance at winning the division. I would disagree. I think the Giants, if I was making a wager on William Hill right now and with these current odds, I would probably bet the Giants.
Giants are the best value.
I agree.
Are they better than football team though?
You're getting twice. Yeah, better value.
Well, and that if you're using that math, just going solely on what the numbers are, you would bet the Eagles. My point is that don't you feel like football team is more likely to win that division than New York?
Yeah, yes, but
I think a good way to look at it is if you think Washington is 5% better than the Giants, you're getting way higher than 5% better number betting the Giants over Washington.
Yeah, I don't. I think they're like 15 to 20% better.
okay, that's fine. I mean, look, again, I bet Washington. I think, but I bet them when they were 4-1. So, and we told people on the podcast to do it. I think that I would bet the Giants here. And while I am cautiously optimistic about Daniel Jones.
All right, let me ask you why.
You could bet against the Cowboys and just bet the other three teams. You're guaranteed a profit if you bet, say, $50 on all three teams if the Cowboys don't win the division.
It's not crazy.
Okay. So why are you?
Philadelphia is not going to surge up to -110 or something like that. These odds are going to shift around throughout the course of the season and probably stay fairly tight knit depending on how things go. So with Daniel Jones, I thought Dave Gettleman did basically exactly what I said he was going to do this offseason. And that's not me humble bragging. It's just Dave Gettleman's very predictable, right? He got help in terms of he didn't really improve the offensive line, but he did enough. You know, Andrew Thomas should get better in his second year. He went out and got a bunch of weapons for Daniel Jones, Kenny Galladay, John Ross. And people knock him, but he's fast. Maybe he'll have a breakout, do a little secondary height.
Drafted
Kadarius Toney. The defense was pretty good under Patrick Graham, who they were able to keep around last year. They added Azeez Ojulari in the second round, and
Saquon's coming back.
Able to lock in Leonard Williams. I look at that defense and think they signed Adoree Jackson in free agency.
Kyle Rudolph on offense too.
Yeah, signed Mike Glennon.
There it is.
Hey, good mentor. I think the defense can be above average, maybe top 10 in the NFL if a couple of things break their way, and they've got a fairly reasonable schedule. You know, Washington shouldn't be a powerhouse on offense, and I don't think Philadelphia
But wait a second. Washington's defense, as we say here, is better than New York's defense. And New York's defense was good last year.
Sure.
I think Washington's offense is probably better than New York's offense.
No, look, I think Washington's better than the Giants.
Oh, okay. You just said they're not a powerhouse, so I thought you were saying.
I don't think the offense is going to be this scoring monster. You know?
Right. It's not the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, for example.
Right. Or even the Cowboys offense.
Yeah.
If it all boils down to do we trust Jason Garrett to develop Daniel Jones? For all the crap we give Jason Garrett, he did do a good job helping Dak Prescott become an upper echelon quarterback. You know, he coached.
I do wonder if the sort of conservatism that we always make fun of Jason Garrett is actually good for Daniel Jones, who turns the ball over a million times a year.
Well, and that's the whole thing is
that's all it comes down to.
Danny Dimes has to not be Freddie Fumbles because that's all we see. 2019, he led the NFL with 19 fumbles, and he did that even though he only played in 12 games that year. He led the entire NFL in fumbles, even though he only played in 12 games. Last year, he tied for the NFL lead in fumbles with 11, and so that's it. And maybe that's part of the reason why the Giants are being conservative is because they don't want Daniel Jones to turn the ball over. I like Daniel Jones, and I think if he can get these fumbles out of his system, he can be a really good quarterback, but you can't have your quarterback fumbling all the time. So at some point, you have to cut bait if he keeps fumbling.
He has 41 turnovers in his first 2 years.
That's insane.
That is outrageous.
That's Jameis Winston level.
Are we sure that's not worse than Jameis Winston?
I mean, it probably is.
So Jameis had in his first 2 seasons 15 picks, 18 picks. That's a lot. That is 33 interceptions, and he also had 16 fumbles. So 40. What did we say? Daniel Jones had 41. Jameis had 49. My God.
But Jameis played more games, as Breech just noted.
That's true. That's true. He played 32 games. So if we do the math, 49 divided by 32, 1.53 turnovers per game for Jameis Winston his first 2 years. That is ridiculous. And what we say, Danny Dimes had 16. Technically his rookie year because he came in midway through the game for Eli Manning against Tampa. Remember, led that comeback?
Danny Dimes is 1.57.
He beat Jameis.
Oh.
All right, so that's not great.
Oh, my God, that's not great at all.
And the thing is, with Jameis and a lot of guys like this, you can't – sometimes you don't see players just turn the corner on turnovers, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody in history that just was a notable turnover machine that just magically flipped a switch and stopped turning the ball over at a high rate. I mean, it's not like Daniel Jones is attempting that many passes either. I mean, 459, 448. Oof. Ugh. 6.6 yards per attempt. He's still only 24 years old. I am cautiously optimistic because of his pedigree, but those turnovers, it's all on the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
If he can have less than 15 turnovers next year, then I think we'll be talking about picking up the 5th-year option, and then we'll start having okay, let's see how he does the 4th year, and then we'll talk contract extension.
And that's weird too, because if he has another season where he's fumbling it 19 times and you're the Giants and you have to think about picking up his 5th-year option, but say he also throws 28 touchdown passes, all his other numbers are good, you're in a dicey situation because you can't fix the turnovers, but other than that, he looks good. So it's interesting.
And his 5th-year option, so Sam, I'm just trying to think, Sam Darnold's was 2nd overall, so it's obviously gonna be more, but his was $18.9 million. Quentin Nelson's was like 14 million out of the 6th spot. So,
well, it's based on your position out and whether or not you make like a Pro Bowl or like it's all that. So, I think Josh Allen. What was Josh Allen's 5th-year option? That's what he would be.
Josh Allen made 1 Pro Bowl, and his was $23 million.
So that if Daniel Jones can get to a Pro Bowl this year, that's
Sam Darnold went. I'm looking at projections here on Over the Cap, by the way, based on those numbers. Sam Darnold's was 19 million with no Pro Bowl. Josh Allen's 23 million with 1 Pro Bowl. Mike McGlinchey, 9th overall, was 11 million. So
if Daniel Jones isn't great this year, you can get him for under 20 million on that 5th-year option.
I would almost, if the Giants finish around 500, I don't think Dave Gettleman gets fired. That 5th-year option is almost probably entirely based on whether Dave Gettleman gets fired or not. But yeah, I mean, yes.
Why keep investing? This is make or break for Daniel. Why keep investing in Daniel Jones if after this year he's still not progressed to the point where you feel like he's a franchise quarterback?
That's what I'm saying. Dave Gettleman will chase good money with bad, or bad money with good, whatever. Yeah, he'll chase bad money with good money. He's not scared to do that.
What place do you guys think the Giants finish in next season?
I mean, all right, so they're doing 17 games, so they could win. I think they could win 10 games.
Well, if they win 10 games, Daniel Jones might make a Pro Bowl.
Brinson, you said 2nd. Is that 2?
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Washington 1, New York 2, Dallas 3.
Ooh, I think Dallas has a chance to. I think. Well,
I'm not buying into Dallas again this year. Not doing it. Not going to do it. Breach might. I'm not.
Yeah, the defense is an issue.
The Breech spot expiration date hit last week.
What's a bigger issue for you? Because the issues for me, in random order, are the defense, which they've tried to address, in Mike McCarthy.
Oh, I mean, the defense is the biggest issue.
I think of Mike McCarthy. Yeah.
They were putting up historic numbers in the first 4 or 5 weeks on offense, but it was only because the defense was so bad they were chasing points.
Right. I think Mike McCarthy, who promised to change and didn't change, is going to be the exact same guy we thought he was. In fact, I would imagine.
Mike, I visited PFF once, McCarthy.
I am guessing Jerry Jones will be asked about Mike McCarthy's job status by the middle of October.
By week 4.
Oh, there you go. September. Late September, early October.
Giants schedule. Over under 3.5 starts for Mike Glennon. How about that?
Under. I think that, if Danny's healthy, he's playing.
Okay.
If he's playing 3.5 times. Good Lord, something's gone wrong.
Oh, boy, Daniel Jones. Oh, boy. Have you seen their schedule?
Well, the thing is, the other teams in that conference division play a similar schedule. What is it?
But they open up with the Broncos at home. That's a tough defense.
Yeah,
at Washington.
Playing Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. Freddie Bridgewater would be awesome.
No, I'm just saying that like the Broncos can turn you over.
Yeah.
That's not a great defense to open the season with if you're trying to curb your turnovers. At Washington, also not great.
Yeah.
Week 3, they get the Falcons at home. That's, then they're at the Saints. Saints have a good defense. At the Cowboys. Cowboys are trash. Rams in week 6, Panthers week 7, at the Chiefs in week 8.
Well, I mean, there are 4 games there you could win, maybe.
4 through 8 games would be a good spot for them. And probably
here's the thing: just win your division games and lose the rest. No one cares.
Exactly. Yeah. If you go 5-1 in that division and 2-9 on the other 11 games, you might win the division.
Fair enough. So I'm cautiously optimistic on Daniel Jones. You guys sound the same?
Yeah, I want to see. He needs to get better, and we'll see. You know, that the thing, not the worst thing, but when he came out in the Tampa Bay start, everyone's like, "Oh, in your face, told you," and then that was a highlight of his career so far.
I think the sort of a poor man's Josh Allen leap. Like, you're not expecting that kind of leap, but nobody thought Josh Allen was going to be crazy accurate in his third year out of nowhere.
Yeah, but they sort of set him up to succeed in Buffalo. Have they done that in New York?
They're trying to. Kenny Galladay. They're trying. Brinson mentioned it. That they gave him all these weapons.
I'm thinking more about the coaching staff around him, like Brian Daboll versus Jason Garrett. Maybe Jason Garrett, conservative play caller, is good for Daniel Jones. I don't know. We'll see. Saquon's coming back. That's obviously great. You mentioned the other players offensively. That's great.
Cautiously optimistic. I think
that's right.
That's a fair spot. That's where you want to be with Daniel Jones. You don't want
9.5 wins over under.
9.5?
Yeah.
9? I'm taking the under on 9.5 all day.
I feel like they may have a chance to get spicy.
Well, I mean, the reason I'm doing that is because William Hill, their over under is 7.
Yeah, I guess I'm bullish.
Yeah, yes, I will take the 2.5 free games you're giving me. I would go over if I was picking their over under and betting on it. I would take over 7, but 9.5, I will absolutely.
Yeah, 7, I like over. 9.5, that's upper echelon.
Yeah, 9.5 is too high. I think 9 and 8 would be a good season for them. So, and I think they could go 9 and 8, 10, get a 10. Oof.
9, 8, 10 to 7. They're in the playoffs. I mean, that's.
So who's better on paper, Breech, the Giants or the Bengals?
Don't ask me the question.
Oh,
the Bengals.
No, Breech.
The Bengals offense is better, and the Giants defense is better, but not much better. There you go.
Giants defense is a lot better than
the Giants won 6 games last year. Bengals won 4.
With their quarterback out for half the season.
Ryan Finley won one of those games.
The line is so terrible, and their head coach doesn't know how to design an offense that doesn't allow Joe Burrow, the former number 1 overall pick, not to get killed.
And
this is not about the Bengals, guys. This is not about the Bengals.
That's actually the truest thing.
I think there's a question coming up about the Bengals.
In Breech's defense, you did bring up the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Moving along. Absolute number 1 podcast from Hustle Russell 28 via Apple Podcast.
Thanks, Hustle Russell.
The PickSix podcast has been my number 1 go-to podcast ever since the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl. Yes, memories of that Super Bowl. I'm probably in the minority when I say that I'm disappointed that the intro music won't be there for long. I forgot that everyone hates the intro.
I've never heard the intro music because when I watch this on YouTube, Devo just goes right to the.
It's basically like a knockoff Fish song.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I didn't miss it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, on to the mailbag question. Being a Cowboys fan, I dislike the fan base and organization, but I love the players, especially Rain Dakota Prescott. Dak is my favorite player in the league, battling through his mom passing to cancer while he was in college, battling depression, his brother's suicide, the Cowboys strength coach Marcus Paul passing, and his injury. He is open with his emotions and faith, and I respect that. Will Dak do any of the following? Bring a Super Bowl to Dallas, make the Hall of Fame, earn the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year award, or win MVP? I don't know if he means this year. But
I think Alex Smith is probably this year. The other things are probably now going forward.
Why can't they be this year?
That's why I said
this is my favorite Cowboys fan ever.
I feel like there's a good chance he's not making the Hall of Fame this year.
Dislikes the organization, but he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, that's true. That's sort of like you, Breech. I mean, you're not crazy about the ownership, I would imagine, in Cincinnati, but you have long ties to the team.
So
I think
Dak is the far and away massive favorite for comeback player of the year.
Right.
At plus 180 over at William Hill. The next closest is Joe Gimpy Leg Burrow at 6-1, Saquon Barkley at 6-1, Christian McCaffrey 7-1, Nick Bosa 8-1. And then this is funny. All those guys suffered, pretty gruesome injuries last year, right? The other guy, don't crop him. Don't you dare crop him out. Oh,
I saw it.
Yeah, you saw it. Carson Wentz on the list, coming back not from injury, but from sucking.
But wait, if you look at this list, it says Dak Prescott leg, Joe Burrow leg, Carson Wentz in parentheses, hurt feelings. All right, so let's see if you can come back from his hurt feelings and win that comeback player of the award.
Bruised libido.
Wait, what?
Your ego, bruised ego.
Okay,
yeah, I think you got your words mixed up there, Brinson.
Yowzers. Yeah, obviously, I think Alex. I don't know what the MVP odds are, but I'm going to guess. I would say 30-1 for Dak. But I feel like Alex Smith coming player of the year award.
I think it's like 20-1.
That's just me guessing. That's the Ryan.
He
Wilson.
is 18-1.
Oh, so yeah, then I love it.
Carson Wentz actually just announced that him and his wife are expecting a second child, so his libido is definitely not hurting.
What about his ego? His ego's pretty good now too.
Maybe I'm sure his libido was bruised.
Well,
I guess you don't say bruised libido, do you?
No one but you says that.
You know what? I had the Cowboys win the Super Bowl last year. I had the Dak Prescott winning MVP. So this feels like my burner account, somebody hacking me, because these were all my thoughts last year.
Devo's about to make a bet on Carson Wentz.
I'm not falling for it again.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Devo he doesn't know he still has screen share on, so we're gonna see him bet $10,000 on Carson Wentz win comeback player of the year.
I'll say this. I have just through the job have had the opportunity to sit down and chat with Dak Prescott for like a couple short periods of time.
Sound the humble brag bell. Go ahead.
CBS sent me down to work to do a feature on his camp, on his QB camp in Texas, and then I interviewed him for the Super Bowl. Like, he is a genuinely good person. I think he has all like the way this guy describes it does a really good job of expressing how Dak is not trying to get, like, he was through that whole contract thing. It's never that he just wanted to get paid. He was being greedy and he demanded the most money. That's his agent doing his agent's job and making sure that his client gets the best deal and that Dak becomes the highest paid quarterback. I honestly and truly believe that Dak would have taken what Jerry Jones offered him because he just wanted to be the Cowboys quarterback and he wanted to put it all behind him, and he wants to go win an MVP, but he doesn't care about an MVP because he'd rather win a Super Bowl for the Cowboys. So I want to say yes, Dak Prescott will win a Super Bowl for the Cowboys. Unfortunately, I still believe that Jerry Jones actually sold his soul to the devil for the Super Bowl in '96, and he's talked about that. He said, Jesus, baby Jesus, please, I just one thing. You give me this Super Bowl, I'll never ask you for anything else in the entire world ever again. I won't ask for another win ever again. And you know what? You do that, Jerry, that's signed, sealed. So I'll say no on the Super Bowl, even though I want Dak to win it. I will say yes, he wins an MVP in his career. And I will say yes, that Dak Prescott eventually gets in the Hall of Fame.
Wow. Yeah, but you're a big Hall of Fame truther, so you think everyone gets in. But I do think comeback player of the year feels like almost a slam dunk. I think MVP is the next likely scenario. Could be as soon as this year. You mentioned the issues with the Super Bowl. It's not just Dak. If this were like a tennis tournament and Dak was the only player, then yeah, I would feel really good about his chances. And the Hall of Fame, I mean, I don't know. There's not enough data points. I think it's going to have to start with how he looks this year, and hopefully he'll be as close to form as he was before he got injured.
Yeah, I think 2 of these 4 at most are going to happen. And I think comeback player of the year and MVP seem the most likely. I do think in the next 5 years he can absolutely win an MVP. I just don't think Dallas has a good enough all-around team to win the Super Bowl this year, probably next year. It's going to be, I don't know. Mike McCarthy's the guy that lead them to a Super Bowl.
Right. Go out 10 years and you're always coming back to, okay, can they beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? And the answer with Mike McCarthy is probably not.
The answer is no.
Yeah. I just think Jerry sold his soul. He's not going to win one. Sorry.
But that doesn't mean Dak can.
Lucifer takes those deals seriously.
Lucifer. But Dak can still have a fantastic career. And as Hustle Russell pointed out, he's very likable and very easy to like for all the things he does off the field.
Yeah. If I would sort of feel like Hustle Russell. If Dak won a Super Bowl, I'd be excited for Dak. Like, not really that thrilled for Jerry or Cowboys fans.
Yeah, that's, again, you got to stay off social media in order so you don't have this passive aggressive hatred for the team, even though you are happy for some of the players.
I sort of felt that way before Twitter was born.
I mean, and if they were going to win a Super Bowl, though, Jerry Jones would love to win it this year. It's in Los Angeles. They do training camp out in Southern California. He pretty much paved the way for Stan Kroenke to be able to move the Rams from St. Louis to LA.
Pretty much drove a steamroller through St. Louis and paved the way.
But also threw the Chargers and the Raiders out the window to make sure Kroenke get what he wanted. So I think Jerry Jones would love to win one at SoFi Stadium.
I would agree with that completely. All right, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll let a podcast listener dunk on Breech.
Oh, boy.
Next question in the mailbag from D-Bags.
Triple G.
Yeah, Triple G. D-B.
That makes this dunk hurt more. more.
D-Bags. No days off except Breech. Ho, ho, ho! Up high, down hard. Best NFL podcast. Listen every day. Love the football chat, banter, and even Brinson's humble brags. This little, like at this point, they're doing it on purpose, right? It's funny, but
Why don't you quickly, before you get to D-Bags' question, tell everyone the worst humble brag we've heard on this podcast that the Breech shared with us prior to this.
Oh, we don't need to share that now.
yeah, we do. What were we talking about?
So Breech is going to do a podcast with DeJohnny, I believe, right? About the best kickers and punters. And I was asking about Rodrigo.
No, I'm doing it with Brinson.
With Benson,
Oh.
yeah.
With
Benson.
I'm
I'm
doing
sorry.
one with DeJohnny on best linebackers or something.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I heard
Oh my
DeJohnny.
God, you really got my hopes up. I was like, I'm done after this one. And DeJohnny,
I'm done, so I don't care who's doing it. But I was asking Breech if he knew that Rodrigo Blankenship was really into Legos, because my 9-year-old's into Legos, and that's his only connection to football. Is that Rodrigo, who wears the goggles, is a huge Lego nerd, and of course Breech knew that, and he went on to talk about how he's interviewed Rodrigo and asked him specifically about that, and then he took a pause. And what was the humble brag that you decided to lay on us, Breech?
I don't remember.
Oh, by the way, Rodrigo's sister
girlfriend follows me on
Sister.
LinkedIn.
I think it's Rodrigo's sister follows him on
Oh
Twitter.
yeah, where you like Rodrigo's sister follows me on Instagram, which is
It was Twitter
follows you on Twitter. How do you even know it's his sister?
because she sent me a message about kicking. She talked about Rodrigo.
Did you just humble brag about Rodrigo? Did you just do a
You just
humble
asked,
brag?
and I just told you why. That's how I knew.
You just delivered a second humble brag about Rodrigo Blankenship's sister?
Well, I am on the show every day with you, Brinson. The humble brags just start to kick in. This reminds me.
Is the wife of your child, the mother of your child, your wife, aware that you're sliding up in Rodrigo's sister's DMs?
Oh, jeez.
My God, Brinson. This is why you are only allowed to host this podcast once a week from now on. You're going on vacation.
Deal. Sounds great.
You're out.
Anyway, oh yeah, he asked a question about the Bengals. Two questions. With a 17-game schedule, will Breech predict the Bengals to go 11-6 or 10-7?
Well, I said that the Giants might go 9-8. Breech said they're better than the Giants, so clearly it's one of these two. I don't know which one though. Which is a Breech?
17-0. Come on,
Yeah,
that's
that
easy.
is.
Why would they lose? Who are they going to lose to?
Everyone. In all seriousness, what do you anticipate that the
Well, in all seriousness, if you guys did any research, you would know that I had to write a Bengals prediction article for the website, which I don't think you guys even know exists because you don't write anymore.
in all seriousness,
music.
do you think
Stop
that
music.
I would ever click on a Bengals season prediction
That's
in-
fair. You
in
wouldn't.
July?
But I did write one, and my prediction in that story was 9-8.
Oh my God, are you serious right now?
Oh my God,
We're
Wilson
gonna
was
cuss?
cussed again.
Yeah, nothing makes me angrier than
I
Breech's-
predict
place-
last
what place-
year.
What place did you have them finishing in the division?
Well, I didn't have to do all the division predictions, so
What
I'd have to
place
wait.
Would you have them finishing in the division?
I don't know. I'd have to go through all the games for each team individually and run some numbers and figure it out. So I don't know.
Yeah, 100% third.
Maybe
I mean,
I could see
third.
second place. I don't think second place would be
oh
crazy.
my gosh, she's going to go higher.
I will not
than-
predict them in first place. And for the record, I
Wow,
predicted
how
them.
bold of you. How bold of
I
you.
predicted them to go 7-9 last year, even though you guys joked about me saying 10 wins all year. And I think if Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt, they either hit that number.
Again,
close
Ryan
to it.
Finley beat the Steelers. Joe Burrow did not.
Are you aware? You know what you are? You're
9-8.
no, you're being on. You're being on. Bingle like being on, but for Bengals,
There you
Bengals
go.
and Breech. You've got this if Joe Burrow hadn't gotten hurt, they probably were winning 7 games. No,
That seems
no!
realistic.
What
What?
are you talking
Easy.
about? How many they win, Ryan?
4.
And
4,
one
11, and
Ryan Finley.
one with Ryan Finley versus a Steelers team that had clearly given up because they knew the repercussions for me.
they laid down so you'd get a tat. Wait, you think the Bengals were going to the Bengals went 4-11-1. Joe Burrow won 2 games. What makes you think? Wait, so he got hurt in Week 11 against Washington.
Otherwise, they're going to the playoffs. You
They were
understand that?
2-7-1. You're telling me in their final 6, they were going to win 5 of their final 6 games?
Well, they were going to beat Washington. So let's start there.
Okay,
No, they weren't.
They were winning the game. And
By
then
the
Burrow
way-
got hurt, and then their offense couldn't move the ball at all. And
You
Washington's
keep talking.
defense.
You keep talking.
Ryan Finley and somebody else won 2 games.
Exactly. Somebody else. That should tell you how important Joe Burrow is to this offense. Joe Blow
They
and
were
Ryan
the
Finley.
Giants 19-17 the week later. They win that game. They beat the Dolphins. They only scored 7 points. There was 3 games they only scored a touchdown or less after Burrow got hurt. Those are games they could have won.
Can you imagine spending
They
5
lost
months?
38-3 to the Ravens in week 17. What on earth makes you think
They lost 19-17 to the Giants without Joe Burrow. You don't think they could have won that game? They lost 19-7 to the Dolphins without Joe Burrow. You don't think they could have won
they
that
lost
game?
30-7 to the Cowboys?
Yeah, but the Cowboys have a good defense. Oh, wait, they're terrible.
This Vietnam is spinning out of control. It's wild.
Can you imagine?
They're going 9-8, guys. Write it down.
Can you imagine
Clip it
being
and save it.
If
angry?
they go exactly 9-8, Brinson, how about you have to get 9-8 tattooed on your
I'm not getting
arm?
a tattoo for anything. I don't do needles. I don't do tattoos. Anyway, let's get to D-Bag's second question. Secondly, what do you think? Talk about two wildly disparate questions. What will Breech predict the Bengals to do? And secondly, what do you think COVID has done to the prospect of a team in London? Is the NFL looking more at expanding the international series rather than a permanent move? Love your work. Keep it up.
I would argue that Breech actually knows more about COVID than he does about the Bengals. So he might be better equipped to answer this question.
His takes on the London are far more accurate than his Bengals takes.
So what do you think, Breech?
I think the Bengals are moving to London and going 17-0. Now, I do think that COVID, I think the NFL kind of got that jolt of reality that says, you know what, good thing we didn't move a team here because this is like something we didn't even consider, that there could be a worldwide pandemic that could shut things down, because this would have made it awkward, because you can't travel between countries when you have something like this going on. So
you can't travel between countries.
Well, wait a second. They have the European Championships are going on in soccer, so those are going on right now.
Well, right, but if something happens
America
again, and so I think that with this, they're going to push London way down the road. If they're even thinking about putting a team there, I think that's been pushed 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And now we've heard this offseason about all the focus on expanding the international series. I think we'll see a game in
Breech,
Germany.
well, let me ask you this: a year and a half ago, what was the timeline on a team coming to London?
Well, the international guy who was running the NFL's international department was a guy named Mark Waller. And he said he thought it could be done by 2025.
Okay.
Back in 2017, 2018. But now I think that I don't even think 2030, 2035 now.
It would have,
if it happens at all.
I mean, there were major logistical issues, obviously, with the 2020 season, right? Because of COVID.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, Europe isn't as good as the U.S. in terms of having people vaccinated and still battling the virus and all that. And we see, even watching the soccer tournament over the summer, the players are still getting COVID. Some are having to quarantine and do all those things. But it's certainly much better than it was even 4 or 5 months ago. So I like I said, Breech knows this better than I do. So I didn't even know what the timeline was even before COVID hit. So 2025 best case. So that certainly makes sense that it'll be pushed off another 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
So yeah, expanding. Look for Germany next year. That's the big one.
Well, I mean, you just can't. I think you're spot on, Breech. There was a worldwide pandemic that would still be preventing this team that is based in London. They would have to fight. I mean, look what happened with the Raptors in the NBA. They had to play from Orlando this year, or where they set up shop? Tampa or somewhere? They're somewhere in Florida. Debo probably knows. I'm sure he'll
Disney World.
Anyway, but that's been a logistical nightmare for the Raptors, and they've looked like a team that was disinterested based primarily because of how they had to set up shop away from their homes. And so I think the NFL, particularly, you're not talking Canada here, you're talking London. Like, I mean, the logistics in doing all that travel are difficult anyway. It would not be feasible in a pandemic. You would have to move that team back over here. There's just so much that goes into play. So I agree with you. I think they push it way back.
What Breech, is the international series happening this year? Or has that not yet been?
Yeah, the schedule's already out. Ryan, what'd you follow the schedule? I think there's two games in London this year.
Okay.
And then next year they're starting the rotation where every single team has to play an international game once every 8 years. So there will be a rotation with at least 4 international games starting in 2022. And that's why we hear about Germany. You'll have multiple games in London, likely have a game in Mexico. And that rotation will probably, my guess would be, each division plays on the road or as hosts an international game each year. And so that will be one division a year for 8 years, and that will be the rotation. Because then if you don't have a rotation, you get a situation like you do with the Packers. The Packers still have not played an international game. So the other teams might say that's unfair. Like, how come we have to go to London and the Packers have never had to go to London? So how does that happen? So to prevent things like that, you just have this rotation where you'll have one team or every team play there every 8 years.
Yep. Next question.
By the
Listener,
way, Breech literally does know more about London than he does the Bengals. He just proved that.
It's very sad.
Again, those questions could not, the juxtaposition of those questions and the juxtaposition of Breech's realistic answers is just
Breech's worst subject and his best subject.
The Bengals are going to go 12-5 and win the Super Bowl. Well, I think with the London, what has happened in the?
I can't wait to play this.
The capital of California is Omaha.
Sacramento. I know that one.
Just two.
I nailed the test. I had all of them except for Kentucky.
Just sounds like two different human beings answering questions. Just one guy sounds like a knowledgeable NFL writer. The other guy sounds like a tinfoil hat wearing crackpot Bengals fan. Anyway,
so complex.
I should have worn my Bengals jersey on the podcast.
Packer Pete from Australia.
Got a lot of Australian fans. That's
trying to remind everybody that we are, in fact, the 7th most popular sports podcast in Australia.
Oh yeah, I wonder if Debo looked into that yet. That's Australia.
Oh yeah, going to Australia. That'd be fun.
Oh, if we get up to number 1, I think we could convince the higher ups to send us.
I saw Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football, and friend of the program, actually. He's been on the friend of the show. He is in Australia for something, and I'm not sure entirely what, but he has been sitting up pictures. I've never been to Australia. Looks lovely. I want to go to Australia.
Breech, have you been?
No.
I thought you'd been. I haven't either.
Too far away.
Breech has not been legally.
Right.
Anyway, Packer Pete says, listener since the very beginning, we appreciate you. Real ones. No. Just wanted to smash in another 5-star review. That is the only NFL. Sorry, somebody texted me something crazy. Sorry,
this is the only NFL podcast. Come on.
That is more interesting the offseason than the season proper. Maybe it's because you all have to think harder to keep us all entertained. The Super Friends are a great combination. The Super
Focus.
Sorry, this is something crazy. A great combination. Although I do miss he who shall not be named. Question: given the huge turnaround of coaches in the system, who are the coaches you all think who were fired too soon and which were not fired soon enough? Pete from West. You know who got fired too soon? Who didn't get fired?
Oh, you made a nice little list there. Of course, my guy's leading the charge.
Oh, you saw my list. Jim Caldwell.
Yeah.
This is one of those where you want to do some research.
9-7 back-to-back years, baby.
Yeah.
So, who's Dan Campbell? Dan Campbell's probably not winning 9 games in his first 2 years. Will he do better than Matt Patricia? Let's see how bad Matt Patricia did. So they won 5 games last year. Do you think this team wins 5 games this year? Because they are truly, I'm guessing the odds, they're the worst team in football. Is that right? Super Bowl odds?
Houston's probably worse.
Yeah, it's close. All right, so
Detroit is considered the second worst team in football.
So Patricia went 6-10, 3-12-1, and 5-11. He was actually fired during the season, so Darren Brable took over. So you think he does better than 5 wins next year? Is that what you said?
Yes, because he has 17 tries.
Eesh, 5 is a lot, though. And you don't have Matthew Stafford.
That's true. Maybe 2.
What's the over-under on their win total, Brinson? So you can get back to doing your job and stop texting people.
I think it's like 5 or 5.5.
My buddy asked me whose number. He's like, whose number is this number? And I was like, I don't know. I don't have that on my phone. I was like, at least you know it's not name redacted, jokingly. And then I asked somebody else whose number it was. They go, oh, it's name redacted's number. So-and-so got a new number. It's a terrible way to explain it. But
yeah, imagine being on a work call and then Brinson's distracted because he's trying to figure out whose phone number he's supposed to be trying to tell his buddy.
I can't explain it on the podcast. I'll get in trouble. But it's a whole thing.
Lions are at 5. Thank you, Debo.
Yes.
So I
Look,
feel like
a squirrel.
I know that's right. You're the dog from Up. 5. God. So at 5, what are you doing for the Lions?
Push. I'm not betting them. I'm staying away.
I think
fight over.
That is a tough. That's when you're sweating out to week 18 or whenever they end the season. All right, that's one of the names you listed. Who else you got on there?
I also included. I thought Todd Bowles got a raw deal in New York.
Well, he was succeeded by Adam Gase, right? He was next, right? Adam Gase came out.
Adam Gase also on this list because he lasted too long twice.
Well, that's my point. It's like Jim Caldwell is to Todd Bowles, or Jim Caldwell is to Matt Patricia as Todd Bowles is to Adam Gase. I mean, you fire a guy who's doing a halfway decent job, and you bring in someone who just torpedoes the organization.
I mean, he was there, what, 4 years? So,
But here's the thing. I think part of the equation is, okay, how did you do? And then how did the guy that followed you do?
that's fair. No, that means I don't think that is necessarily correlates, because that just means the Jets made a dumb hiring Adam Gase. That doesn't mean Bowles did a better job because Gase was also bad.
No, my point is that if you're going to fire someone, you got to have someone that's an improvement. Marvin Lewis and Zach Taylor, for example.
But Bowles got worse every season, you know?
Okay.
He went from 10-6 in 2015, 5-11, 5-11, 4-12.
Who are the quarterbacks for those teams?
Not anyone good. Fitzpatrick for 2 of them.
Oh, right. That's right.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
All right. I like that next name on your list too there, Brinson.
I really
Wade
like
Phillips.
Yeah, that's a good one. He got a raw deal in Dallas.
Son of bum. I'll tell you what, he got a raw deal at. This is the one I was looking at. Are you aware of what his coaching record for 3 years in Buffalo was from 1998, 99, and 2000? Do you know what guess either his record for 3 years or his winning percentage?
It was awesome.
61%.
That is close. 60.4%.
Oh, I was really close.
He won 60% of his games for the Buffalo friggin' Bills and got fired after he went 8-8 in 2000. I don't remember what he got fired for.
I will tell you the lasting memory of that stretch, and he was a good coach there, is that he benched Doug Flutie for Rob Johnson in the playoffs, and they lost that game. Rob Johnson probably shouldn't have started that game. But who took over in 2000?
His final year. But you're right. That's right. They lost to the I know. Shoot. The 99 season with that's the Mile High Mirror. Is it Mile High Mirror?
Tennessee.
But what was the
Miracle, Music City Miracle.
Miracle. Jeez.
Mile High Miracle, yeah. You had to be a Mile High Miracle to call it a Mile High.
Minneapolis Miracle? Why would I say Mile High?
That's like Bill O'Brien-esque, where you were one, like he had the Chiefs on the ropes, and then a year and a half later was fired.
Yeah.
Here you had Wade Phillips literally 3 seconds away from advancing in the playoffs, and then a year and a half later, he's fired. And it looked like, I'm looking at a story from when he got fired, and it says he was let go as coach of the Bills for refusing to dismiss his special teams coach.
That is crazy.
Well, again,
firing a guy who won 60% of his games in 3 years for refusing to get rid of his special teams coach.
Following a trend that we've sort of established here in this conversation on this question, you know who followed him as the coach in Buffalo?
Greg Williams.
Double G Greg Williams, who won 3 games, 8 games, and 6 games. So again, you fire someone for a stupid reason. Todd Bowles, debatable because as Breech pointed out, they weren't getting better. But then you hire someone who's infinitely worse and sets your franchise back for quite some time.
He had a 1-7 season in Dallas before he got fired, and still his winning percentage with the Cowboys was .607.
And that last season he was playing clearly, or coaching clearly, knowing that his job was going to go to Jason Garrett.
I don't know if the young people will remember this, but the blog Kissing Susie Colbert, which probably wouldn't start in 2021, and certainly couldn't write most of the stories that those guys wrote. But Drew McGarry, who was, what was his, Big Daddy Drew or something? Was that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
What was his old blog name?
I think that's right.
Okay. He would do these stories where it's like, it was just basically about Jason Garrett, like fan fixed stories about how the Cowboys operate. It was basically designed around the construct that Jason Garrett was like sneaking around the facility, trying to undermine and steal Wade Phillips' job. And then it actually played out that way in real life. Jason Garrett, it was like Jason Garrett pokes his head around the corner. Hey, boss. And kissing up to Jerry Jones and like doing all this stuff to take Wade down.
I think the takeaway from sort of these stories, and it happens more with players than with coaches, is that, a team gives up 15 draft picks for a player, or under no circumstances will Jerry Jones let Jason Garrett walk. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, usually those players or coaches aren't worth what it costs to keep them around. Organization is probably better off using those assets to make your team better. That's just me.
The other one I threw on here, Jimmy Johnson.
Another Cowboys.
Yeah, but he's the real winner, though.
Sure. But I mean
that organization has done nothing since, right?
Well, they won the Super Bowl after did Barry Switzer win 1 or 2?
One, but my point is, like, in the
They
long
won,
term.
They won the 96 Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's players and Barry Switzer coaching.
Right. But that was it. That's a wrap.
And that's the whole, like, that's, I mean, honestly, you circle back to Hustle Russell's, talking about the Cowboys and Dak. Like, Jerry Jones just can't get out of his own way. He could not deal with the idea that Jimmy Johnson was getting the credit for winning the Super Bowls.
Right.
You're the owner, bro. Who cares? You don't need to build the team. Soak in the titles. You keep Jimmy Johnson around, he probably wins another couple of Super Bowls with the Cowboys. He had them.
Yeah.
He had he had the greatest triplets of all time.
That's one way to put it. That's funny. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the thing is that I don't know if Jerry Jones would have meant this, but it certainly seems like Jerry Jones's ego was more important than winning a couple more Super Bowls.
Yeah, sure is. Marty Schottenheimer.
R.I.P. Marty.
Yeah, R.I.P. Love Marty Schottenheimer. Marty Schottenheimer for the
Got let go after a 14-2 season with the Chargers. Still the most unbelievable firing in the history of football, especially when you consider that Chargers front office.
Yeah, who'd they replace him with?
Norv Turner.
Oh no, Norvell. All right.
Yeah, that
go 14-2 and lose your job. That's preposterous.
And that's with, I think Philip Rivers may have been first or second year as a starter.
And he never got another coaching job again. He was 63. He had gone with the Chargers. We won 59% of his games, 47-33. And that was after he took him over in 2002. They went 8-8, 4-12 in 2003, 12-4, 9-7, 14-2. And he got fired because they lost to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. It's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of got this reputation for not being able to win the big game. But I mean, you look at like when he was in Cleveland, he went to 2 AFC championship games with the Cleveland Browns. That is a team that has only been to one AFC championship since Schottenheimer left in 88. So it's unbelievable. And you look at those games, Ernest Biner fumbles it against the Broncos. It is not Marty Schottenheimer's fault that his running back fumbled the ball at the 1 yard line. And then I think in the 86 game was John Elway's The Drive, where if your defense can just make one play and stop a 92-yard drive, you get to go to the Super Bowl. So, he's probably one of the most underappreciated coaches in NFL history.
Agreed. I was trying to think of, I couldn't really, the two I came up with, Adam Gase twice.
Yeah.
Just don't need to give Adam Gase a job. I thought about including John Fox, but I guess he wasn't.
He won a Super Bowl. I mean,
kind of got fired early. Didn't he get fired after going to the Super Bowl with the Broncos?
I think it feels like he is more an old guard type of coach. And honestly, Mike McCarthy might deserve to be in that basket as well.
I almost put Mike McCarthy on that list.
Yeah.
Not fired soon enough.
But he got the most out of, I mean, should they win more games in Chicago and Denver? Probably. Carolina, maybe. But I think he had a lot of success.
He went to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can say, well, he had good players and good coaching staff. Well, there are plenty of teams with good players and good coaching staffs that still underachieve. So I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah. I'm trying, it's hard. There's tons of turnover. Then the other one I put on there, Jason Garrett, lasted way too long.
Wait, where is Zach Taylor's name on this thing?
I was going to put Dave Shula's name on this list with the Bengals. He lasted 5 years, even though he had a winning percentage of .268. And if Zach Taylor is still the coach after this year, and again, doesn't win 6 or more games, then he also deserves to be on this list.
No, 268. But the joke on you, Breech, is that's still number 2 all time on winning percentage for Bengals coaches.
Still better than Zach Taylor. That's the joke.
What was Bill Walsh fired by the Bengals?
I feel like he wasn't. I feel like he retired. Then George Seifert, I believe, took over, and then Mooch captain.
No, he said by the Bengals. The
Bengals. Sorry, I thought 49ers.
He wanted the head coaching job, and they gave it to Homer
Simpson
Johnson.
Homer Simpson would have been better.
Sorry, Bill Walsh. We've got to hire Homer Johnson.
And so then he was like, all right, well, if you're not, Bill Walsh thought he was going to get the job after Paul Brown stepped aside as Bengals head coach, is basically what happened. And Brown stepped down after the 75 season. Bill Walsh didn't get the job. And after he had, invented the West Coast offense in Cincinnati and said, peace out, and then ended up in San Francisco.
Bill Walsh also claimed that Paul Brown, quote, worked against my candidacy, end quote, to be a head coach everywhere in the league, quote, all the way through, I had opportunities I never knew about them. And then when I left him, he called whoever he thought was necessary to keep me out of the NFL.
Imagine if there was Twitter back then during that Super Bowl. The storylines coming out about how this is a revenge game. Brinson would have been all over the revenge angle.
Imagine two legends hating each other like that.
What was the spread in that game, I wonder? Let me look.
Which one?
The first Super Bowl that they made.
It was like 1 point because they were both not expected to be there. Yeah.
Oh, then. But the spread was 1 because who wasn't expected to be? Oh,
neither of them.
Right.
They were both bad in 1980.
You got to crush the 49ers in that one then because the revenge factor.
And then, yeah. So any other coaches you guys want to add to this list that I researched?
Bill Belichick. He probably should be fired by now.
He got fired. He could be a too soon. He got fired too soon by Cleveland.
Oh, 100%.
By the way, how about it? You love it when a 40-year-old man does 10 minutes of research for a job. gives coworkers crap about it. That's me dogging myself there.
Belichick took the Browns to the playoffs in 94 and then got fired after the 95 season.
Once again, let's see.
Even though Browns fans say, well, we didn't fire him because we're moving to Baltimore. So really the Ravens fired him. But his contract was with the Browns.
The funny thing is that it worked out for the Ravens, but not the Browns. The Ravens still won 2 Super Bowls, and the Browns are still the Browns.
I thought about including Tony Dungy from Tampa.
Yeah, 100%.
But then
they won with Tony's guys.
Also,
they won with Tony's guys, just like
yeah. I don't know that Gruden wins that. I don't know that Gruden. I guess they beat Gruden's team, so I guess he could have theoretically won a Super Bowl. But I don't know that Gruden builds out that defense. Tony Dungy was because Gruden brought in Monty Kiffin, right? Where's Monty?
And Mike Tomlin was on that staff. There are a lot of guys on the staff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Dungy should not have been fired. They fired him because they wanted John Gruden. I mean, that was it. Like he should not have lost his job there.
Yeah. Was Monty Kiffin with Dungy or did he come? Monty Kiffin, by the way, 1980, 1982, head coach of NC State. Fun fact.
How about that?
Yeah, but you didn't know that, did you?
I did not.
What about?
He was there in 96. Kiffin was. So they kept Kiffin because Gruden came in 2000 or 2001, right?
They won in 2002.
Yeah, Gruden came in 2000. Yeah, so Monty Kiffin was already there. So they had that Tampa 2 in place with Monty Kiffin.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All of Tony Dungy's players and et cetera, et cetera.
Did Lovie Smith get fired too soon with the Bears?
I would say too late.
He got fired after a 10-6 season in 2012.
They felt like that team was underachieving. Like they should have done more. Clearly, they haven't.
He went to 2 NFC title games.
Lovey's tenure with Illinois has soured me on, and
his beard is amazing. Though.
He shaved it, unfortunately.
Oh, dang it!
Yeah, and he also recently said about his defense in Illinois. He's like, "Well, the problem is these college offenses put too many guys in the slot, and we just stayed in our base defense, and we couldn't cover them." It's like,
don't say that.
I was looking for coaches who either got fired after having a winning record or after a playoff appearance, like Brinson's list. And besides Lovie Smith, we also have Mike Mularkey with the Titans in 2017. They had not been to the playoffs for 10 years. Mularkey gets him there. Then he beats the Chiefs in a game where Marcus Mariota throws a touchdown pass to himself.
Yep.
He gets to the divisional round and gets canned after the game.
No, because the expectation was he was going to be fired after the season.
Right.
Made the playoffs, and then they fired him anyway.
They don't want to go back on it. Yep.
He won a playoff game. And he got fired for it. No, because then they got blasted by the Patriots the next week, and he was fired, right?
Yep.
He actually followed Double G Greg Williams in Buffalo, too.
And the Chiefs were 8.5-point favorites in that game that the Titans won with Mularkey.
I'll tell you somebody who was fired too late. Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah.
Made it through the entire season.
Not his fault. I mean, it's Haslam's fault.
Hugh Jackson?
Hugh Jackson was fine before. He did crazy stuff, but he was fine before he got to Cleveland, and just things went sideways.
No, he took over the Raiders when Al Davis died and traded everything.
But that team was 8-8.
But if you go 1-15 and 0-16, you should lose your job, right?
Yeah, no, that's right.
He should not have returned for a third season.
Right. Correct.
Can you imagine going 1-31 and keeping your job?
I know. Yeah, no, I can't. I can't.
It's the opposite of Caldwell.
31, you don't get fired. Incredible. All right, let's do the last mailbag question here. 5-star casual J-Jaw slander. Oh! I don't even know who we're slandering. Are we slandering J-Jaw? Are we slandering Debo? Is it making fun of us?
We did a few weeks ago, I think.
Claude Von Stroke. JK, instead I'll ask about fish. Oh,
all right. See you guys next week.
Seeing any shows this year, Brinson? Beers and whiskey on me if we ever catch up at a show. Same for Wilson Breech, but find it highly unlikely they're even listening this long.
Yeah, you got it, Claude.
I was trying to go to Alpharetta, but that didn't work out. And I'm hoping that they will announce a Raleigh or Charlotte show, at which point I'll go to that. None of these shows are really within driving distance. The tickets are hard to get. And I have already lined up a couple nights at Widespread Panic in July down in Wilmington. So if you're there, let me know.
Couple nights.
Well, they're there 3 nights. I'm lined up for 2. We'll see if we get the 3rd.
Have you ever reached your last concert, Britney Spears?
I think it was, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So you're not a heavy time concert goer. So you wouldn't see
hashtag free Britney though.
Yeah, she spoke in court this week. I heard. I got to read the transcript. So you're not a person that would go like 2 nights in a row back to back to see a concert, right?
Never, and certainly not the same.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's you know what the deal with.
Yeah, hold on, but before you humble brag us to death, Debo, have you ever done back to back nights, same group?
I have not, but I think there's a select few that I would for not.
What? Widespread, one of them. Okay.
I believe Jay-Z is probably the only person on that list.
Oh yeah, Debo released his top favorite Jay-Z songs too on Twitter. If you guys are
tough.
I don't know the names of any songs, so I'll just agree with your list.
So, I mean, but the deal with like Fish and Panic is that they don't play the same sets.
Yeah, but all their songs are 15 minutes, and it's just like, what are we doing? It's
You
like the funny bit from Debo's favorite show, Dave, where Little Dicky, like they're listening to Fish, and the guy's like, "Oh, this band's great. When are they going to be done warming up?" Because no, they're playing. This is them.
Okay, you wouldn't want to go see. You wouldn't want to go see like Bruce Springsteen back-to-back nights. He would just play the same set.
Unless you really like the set.
Yeah,
or even I love Beck. I think Beck's awesome. But Beck is probably playing a pretty similar concert in back-to-back nights on the same tour. Most of these
we understand the words that you were saying to us.
Okay, but that's the difference. They sort of outfit a multiple night set list.
How long's the concert?
2.5 hours.
5 hours. No way. I'm out.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours.
Where does Claude live? He says he'll buy you some bourbon. Oh, he doesn't say.
He doesn't say. Let us know where you live, Claude. We will absolutely.
We will show up for the free bourbon.
Clearly, these clowns aren't coming with us.
We'll be in the parking lot tailgating,
listening to Britney Spears.
By the way, you know my son. You know what Robbie told me. Robbie's decided. Yesterday.
Never gonna give you up.
he
never gonna let you down.
He came in and said, "I want to be a YouTuber."
Oh, my 9-year-old said that at the end of kindergarten too. Is Robbie just finished kindergarten?
Yes, and he has. He told my wife that in the car, and she told me, and we agreed to I'm apparently his producer now.
Well, I was going to say, pass along to him the New York Times article that talks to all these TikTok people, I think, that all have mental health concerns because they're so stressed out about having to make all this content.
Well, yeah, I'll hand my kindergartner the New York Times.
There you go. He'll thank you for it.
And then he's like, I want to have a strategy meeting.
Oh,
okay.
Was he wearing a tie when he said that?
He doesn't, and I hadn't told Diva this. I was asking Diva, I was like, how do I, what do I do here? He doesn't actually want to be a YouTuber. He wants to be
a producer.
He wants to basically do high level video editing. And I told him I'm not in for that.
So he wants Debo's job.
He wants to tell.
You're training your kid to take Debo's job, man? That's crazy.
No, he wants to do memes. He wants to like incorporate memes in a reaction. I don't know. It's Undertale is some game.
I should set him up with my 11-year-old nephew because that's basically what he does on YouTube. They could be a tandem.
Is he making any money?
I don't know. His bank account. For all I know, the kid probably has like $7 million in it from the YouTube money he's pocketing that he doesn't tell his parents about.
He's secretly Ouija Pie or something.
Basically,
Ouija Pie is a YouTuber who cusses a lot.
You don't know. You don't know who these famous people are. They could be 11-year-olds in their basement.
Ouija Pie swears like at the wazoo. Robbie, we have a swearing problem at the house currently. Do you ever have to deal with that, Wilson?
No, I'm the only one that curses in this house, and I curse a lot.
Good for you. Yeah, you do. You've
I
cut
don't curse.
podcast twice lately. Anyway, that's it for the show. Mailbag Monday concluded. Thanks as always for listening, everybody. We will have rankings this week, as I am definitely not out of town on vacation.
Can't wait to find out about the kickers and punters.
Can't wait for you to